Hello and welcome to LiCAS.news Weekly Wrap. I am Marielle Lucenio.
And I am Basilio Sepe, and these are our headlines this week.
A super typhoon damaged several Catholic churches in the Philippines' Bicol region.
Faith-based groups blamed ecological sinners for the super typhoon's devastation.
In Myanmar, a fugitive monk surrendered to authorities to face sedition charges.
A Catholic prelate in Sri Lanka called for prayers as COVID-19 spreads fast in the country.
The founder of Knights of Columbus, Father Michael McGivney, has been declared blessed.
The Vatican, meanwhile, clarified Pope Francis' remarks on civil union for gay people.
Also this week, Pope Francis warned that terrorism is escalating in cruelty throughout Europe.
And the Vatican Museums have closed again because of the coronavirus pandemic.
And now to our stories. Several Catholic churches in the Philippines' Bicol region were destroyed by strong winds brought by Super Typhoon Rolly in the Diocese of Legazpi in the province of Albay on November 1. Bishop Joel Bailon of Legazpi said masses were temporarily celebrated outside the St. John the Baptist Church in the city of Tabaco and other devastated churches. The prelate said that St. John the Baptist Church was heavily damaged with more than half of the roof ripped off and blown away. A church in the village of San Antonio, also in Tabaco, caved in, although religious images remained intact, said the prelate. Several other churches were reported to have suffered minimal damage and were being repaired through the initiative of the faithful. Bishop Bailon, however, said that the diocese is still wanting in funds to help people whose homes were also destroyed. While we are working on the immediate repairs of these churches, we do not forget that many homes have been destroyed, said the prelate.
Several faith-based groups in the Philippines blamed ecological sinners for the devastation brought about by Super Typhoon Rolly that slammed parts of the country on November 1. About 2 million people have been reported affected by Rolly that left at least 20 people dead and thousands of others homeless. This is not an act of God, said Bishop Gerardo Alminaza of San Carlos of the group Eco-Convergence, a network of church and civil society organizations. We cannot claim that the existence of this harsh weather condition is force majeure, which humans have no control. We are definitely to blame for it, said the prelate. Bishop Alminaza said strong typhoons are effects of the decades-long plunder of the environment and aggravated by the world's largest carbon producers. The bishop from the central Philippines said the country and the poor are paying for the ecological debts incurred by the world's largest polluters and proponents of destructive industries.
Hardline Buddhist nationalist monk Ashin Wiratu handed himself over to police in Myanmar's commercial capital of Yangon on November 2 after more than a year on the run from charges of sedition. Wearing a face mask and shield, he spoke to supporters at a monks' association in the city before driving to a police station in Dagon Township. I will pay homage to senior monks and then I will go to the police, he said, accusing the government and ruling party of bullying him, according to a video broadcast of the speech. Wiradu is known for his rhetoric against minority Muslims, particularly the Rohingya community, but he has also been critical of the civilian government of Aung San Suu Kyi and supportive of Myanmar's powerful military. The Western District Court in Yangon issued a warrant for his arrest in May last year. His surrender to authorities comes days ahead of a November 8 parliamentary election which will decide the next government. The ruling National League for Democracy Party, which came to power in a landslide 2015 victory, is widely expected to retain power and Nobel laureate Aung San Suu Kyi remain as the country's leader.
Cardinal Malcolm Ranjit of Colombo called on Catholics in Sri Lanka to pray for divine intervention as the new coronavirus disease continues to spread fast in the country. I appeal to all Catholics to turn to the Most Holy Mother, asking her to intercede for us before God, said the prelate, adding that it has been proven over time how she intervened for us and helped us. Sri Lankan health officials identified 275 new COVID-19 patients over a 24-hour period on November 3. increasing the total patient count to 11,335 with 6,065 active cases and 389 under investigation. Let us turn to Our Lady in prayer, seeking her blessings to protect the country and its people from this pandemic, said Cardinal Ranjit. The Archbishop of Colombo urged the people, especially the Catholics, to return to prayer, asking them to join daily spiritual programs for divine intervention and to recite the Blessed Mother's special prayer.
The founder of the Knights of Columbus, Father Michael McGivney, was beatified on October 31 at the Cathedral of St. Joseph in Hartford, Connecticut. In his apostolic letter, Pope Francis said that the priest's zeal for the proclamation of the gospel and generous concern for his brothers and sisters made him an outstanding witness of Christian solidarity and fraternal assistance. Beatification is a recognition accorded by the Catholic Church of a person's capacity to intercede on behalf of individuals who pray in his or her name. The feast day of Blessed Michael McGivney will be observed every year on October 13, the day between his birth, which was October 12, 1852, and his death, which was August 14, 1890. Cardinal Joseph Tobin of Newark, the appointed representative of Pope Francis during the event, said Father McGivney was a priest who loved the flock and was happy to see them work together as a community. The signature accomplishment for which he is remembered, however, is founding the Knights of Columbus that grew out of his ministry as a parish priest.
The Vatican, meanwhile, has clarified the recent comment of Pope Francis, which he made for a documentary film titled Francesco on the issue of civil union to cover gay people. The Vatican Secretary of State has asked papal representatives to share the helpful points with the desire to present an adequate understanding of the Holy Father's words. The Vatican explained that the Pope's comments do not pertain to Catholic doctrine regarding the nature of marriage as a union between one man and one woman, but to provisions of civil law. Pope Francis' earlier statement stirred mixed reactions fueled by various media interpretations. The Pontiff's brief comments in the documentary film was reported by several news outlets as departing from the position of the Vatican's doctrinal office and the Pope's predecessors on the issue. The Pope's pronouncement, however, was not a departure from earlier remarks he made about civil union laws that can provide legal protection for couples in long-term committed relationships.
Victims of terrorism are not to be forgotten, Pope Francis said following recent terrorist attacks in Europe. The Pope made the appeal during his weekly general audience in the library of the Apostolic Palace on November 4. In these days of prayer for the dead, we have remembered and continue to remember the helpless victims of terrorism, which is escalating in its cruelty throughout Europe, Pope Francis said. He said the attacks caused dismay and reprobation among the population and those who cherish peace and dialogue. I entrust to God's mercy the people who have tragically departed, and I express my spiritual closeness to their families and to all those who have suffered as a result of these deplorable events which seek to compromise fraternal cooperation between religions through violence and hatred, the Pope said.
The Vatican Museums, which house some of the world's greatest art treasures, will close for a month in line with the new coronavirus restrictions by Italy to tame a surge in coronavirus infections and deaths. The vast museums reopened to limited numbers of visitors on June 1 after a 3-month closure during the first COVID-19 wave in Italy. The Vatican said in a statement on November 4 that they would be closed from November 5 to at least December 3. Italy on November 4 was due to enact tougher measures, including a nationwide nightly curfew and the closure of museums and exhibitions. Before the coronavirus pandemic, the Vatican Museums, which include Michelangelo Sistine Chapel, drew about 6 million people a year and were a cash cow helping Vatican finances. On November 4, Pope Francis' weekly general audience, which had resumed with the public participating, was moved back indoors and held virtually after one participant tested positive at a public audience last month. Speaking from his private library, with only a handful of priests assisting him, the Pope urged people to follow coronavirus guidelines set by authorities and health experts. That's all for this week.
And before we end, we would like to thank the Philippine Press Institute and Mindanao Cross for recognizing one of our stories in their project COVID-19 Chronicles, sharing stories, caring for communities. Thank you.
I am Basilio Sepe.
And again, I am Marielle Lucenio for LiCAS.news, your independent Catholic news source in Asia. For more stories across Asia, visit our website at LiCAS.news and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.